Hi, in this video we are going to learn how to solve absolute value inequalities. There are 3 steps. After the 3 steps we will be done, and then we will graph the solution set. I'm going to give 2 examples and a couple of things in the end to watch out for. So let's go over the steps. Step 1 is to isolate the absolute value by itself. Step 2 is to rewrite as a new compound inequality. Step 3 is to solve that, and then we are pretty much done. So step 1, isolate the absolute value. So in here we have to add 8 to both sides. So we get 6 times absolute value of 4p plus 2 is less than 42. Then we divide both sides by 6. This will cancel, and we get absolute value of 4p plus 2 is less than 7. So we're done with step 1. Step 2, rewrite as a new compound inequality without the absolute value bars. So this depends on whether we have a less than, what I call a less than situation, that means it's an and situation, or a greater situation. And these are just little tricks to teach us to whether we write it as an or statement or an and statement. So this is a less than situation. Okay, so that means we are going to, that's this, which is the green situation. It's less than. So it's an and situation. So we're going to rewrite it as 4p plus 2 is less than 7 and greater than negative 7. Here is the rewrite. Okay, in here W, what I use as W, that means whatever. Okay, that's what the W means. So whatever is in absolute value, if it's less than or equal to A, we can rewrite it as this. We rewrite W in between the negative of this, what I call A, and the positive, which is how it came up with. Now we are done with step 2, and we move on to solve each compound inequality. In this case, this and situation. So we're going to get p by itself. We subtract 2 from all 3 sides. This cancels. So we get 4p is less than 5 and greater than negative 9. So we have one final thing. In order to get p by itself, we have to divide by 4. So remember, when solving inequalities, if we multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality symbols. But we just divided by 4, and 4 is not negative, but it's just something we always have to be careful about and watch out for. So the 4's cancel. So we get p is greater than negative 9/4 and less than 5/4. We're done with step 3. And now we're going to graph the solution set. We don't really have to think too much about graphing the solution set. I just draw a line, put the 2 tick marks, put the 2 numbers that I got, and since this is an and situation, our solution set is going to be in between these 2 numbers. And because it doesn't have an equal sign under each of these less than symbols, we don't shade in the circles. So that's step 4. Now let's see an example of an or situation. So the second example, we're still going to do step 1, which is isolate the absolute value. So it's not isolated. There's a division by 5, so we have to get rid of that. So we multiply both sides by 5. Here the 5's cancel. So we get absolute value of 2x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 15. You should always pay attention. Did we multiply by a negative number? No, we didn't. So we don't have to worry about flipping anything, flipping the greater than or equal sign. So we're done with step 1. Step 2, rewrite. Now this situation, this is a greater situation. So this is this situation, the yellow. It's an or situation. It's absolute value of something, whatever as I call it in this example, is greater than or equal to 15. So we are going to rewrite it as an or statement. So you write whatever is inside the absolute value. I'm looking over here. This is our rewrite. Is greater than or equal to 15. So the first part you just write it without the absolute value bars as you see it, or 2x plus 8 is less than or equal to negative of 15, negative 15. Okay, so we're done with the rewrite. We're done with step 2. And now we're going to go to step 3, solve each inequality. So we subtract 8. And we subtract 8 here. Here we get 2x is greater than or equal to 7, and or 2x is less than or equal to negative 23. We're almost done. We divide by 2. 2 is not a negative number, so we don't have to flip the inequality. So we get x is greater than or equal to 7 over 2, or x is less than or equal to negative 23 over 2. This is what we box. We box with the or in there. And graph, so we're done with step 3. And graphing the inequality, once again, it's important to make sure you write the smaller number first, then the larger number. You just draw the 2 tick marks and you label the graph with those 2 numbers that we found. So this is negative 11.5 and 3.5. And this is going to be a filled in circle because these are greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. And they're going to go outwards because this is an or situation. And 2 things to watch out for. Once the absolute value is isolated, if it turns out to be less than a negative number, that's when we say this is not possible. So the answer to this would be no solution. And for this one, we would say when is an absolute value of something greater than a negative number? Well, this is always the case. So this will have infinitely many solutions. That's all. Keep on practicing. I hope this was helpful.